Good evening. Welcome to this edition of the Defend Forward series. It is June 2nd, 2026, the year of our Lord. And this is Calvin Reach. I'm here with Sega Thompson. Sega, how was your week?
It was a pretty good week until, all of a sudden I'm having technical difficulties at the last minute. But hey,
And that's the joke we always like to give. Well, we got to call somebody in IT. So, yeah, so um, we don't have a guest other than ourselves. And so we're going to have a wonderful conversation uh, with a very important topic, Sega, that we have out there tonight. Are we there yet? And we want to take a look at the landscape of cybersecurity landscape here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And of course, we can't be alone because, the internet, uh, you can't air gap yourselves and say you're on the internet, etc. So we have a lot to cover. Got to have some fun with it, and along the way, I hope you out there get something from it, and be sure to drop us questions in the chat if you have any. So, Sega,
yeah.
cybersecurity. It was interesting that I don't know what it means because I went looking for any information I could find on it, but and I didn't hear the speech live. So, but I understand and reading the newspaper accounts of the speech from the throne at the opening of Parliament that the Governor General, on behalf of the government, presaged the coming of a cybersecurity authority. Now, do you have any idea what form that will take?
No, I don't. I have heard before this, I have heard that things are happening behind the scenes. And it was a tad bit confusing. So I definitely do not want to speak to that. But I think that having a cybersecurity
Authority?
authority was kind of goes hand in hand with the national cybersecurity um,
Strategy.
strategy. So I just say that, hey, it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Okay. Well, when I heard the word authority, I guess I'm thinking,
You think it's
are we
like the
getting,
competent authority?
huh?
Did your mind automatically go back to COVID and the competent authority? Is that what
Fun days, nightmare times. Okay, you take us back to that.
my
No,
fellow Bahamians,
huh?
my fellow Bahamians.
My fellow Bahamians, yes. What a time. No, my thinking, my thinking is that I'm wondering if this is going to be some overall regulatory authority for the country, or what format is this actually going to take? Are we going to have, is the country, the government going to have integration or links with other like-minded organizations across the world, etc. So that's kind of where my mind went, and I'm hoping that we can get further information on this as time moves along.
I would think it's probably going to go that way simply because, I mean, if you look at CERT-BS, the connection is to other certs throughout the Caribbean and actually throughout the world. So it stands to reason that any cybersecurity authority would follow that same pattern.
Right. So I did some digging today, in preparation for tonight, and I'll get into some of what I've come up with. Hey, did you see the news today? There was a and I shouldn't take, I know I shouldn't take any pleasure in this type of thing, but I do because every morning I listen to the CISO series of cybersecurity incidents, and I also listen to a podcast where this guy with a PhD, wonderful setup he has, but he explains the news stories as well, and he has a wonderful community going on. Anyway, um, did you hear the one where Meta's AI? So Meta goes ahead and terminates 8,000 people. And now the AI today, Sega, goes and gives hackers access because the hackers asked for it. I just thought that was classic. Have you seen
First
this
off,
story?
I have not seen it. I my
You,
dear's been.
you're kidding. You haven't seen this one?
But think about it. That is just being polite. They asked nicely, and so we gave it to them.
They said no, they certainly did, and I'm certain other people have also heard this story. But what it was is that and it says here, Meta's AI chatbot reportedly helped hackers steal Instagram accounts. All they had to do was ask. And this is on the Yahoo page for yesterday, June 1st, 2026 at 3:21 Eastern Time. So apparently they got access to a few person's Instagram account, like they say the Obama White House Instagram account, which I thought would have been a thing of the past, and a couple of others. And you can simply go out on the Google right now and look and check that out. Look it up. Meta's AI chatbot reportedly gives help hackers steal Instagram accounts because all they had to do was ask. I just Sega, I smile because our work is never done.
Isn't that a good thing, though?
That's why
Isn't
I'm
that a good
smiling.
thing? We want to stay gainfully employed. It is currently helping us. It just, I think, highlights the importance of having guardrails and governance, proper governance. And that's really what it boils down to. Like I always tell people, AI by itself is not is neither good or bad. It just is.
It just is.
Is
No.
it that
Yep.
is it.
Hmm.
Could be used for good, could be used for not the best. And it's still in a learn as it goes. I mean, can it be scary? Yes. Can it be useful? Yes. But
No,
yeah.
it's yeah, no, yeah, exactly right. It is all of those things. Um, my good friend Kevin Smith, you didn't meet Kevin. He was at the place we used to work prior to your coming there. And Kevin posts many times on LinkedIn about AI governance. And it's it is the next step, or it's the next maturity, or it's actually not even next. I mean, that's where we should be, or that's where organizations should be, have some sort of an AI governance maturity framework set up. But of course, you and I know that we don't have the basics as yet. So to think about having AI governance in place is just a whole other level. I'm going to share here on the screen um, what I'm getting at, and it's this. He was talking about, the AI policy should exist. Um, there should be inventory and tracking of it. The accountability should exist. And then I'm going to take this down in just a second, but there's also the whole issue of, well, where the board of directors and who's responsible at the board level for AI governance. Um, we're in a whole new world now of hurt, as I like to call it, because it's going to be a while before organizations get there. But this is where we're going to have to be, because while AI is wonderful in many ways, it is very, very destructive in other words, and in other ways. And with organizations, we're just going to have to get there. All right. So, Sega, the first point you want to deal with is for the Bahamas itself. What is the state of cyber policy? Do you want to start with perhaps not with the national cybersecurity strategy, but maybe with the
You want to
our
tell me where to start on the policy? First of all, let's go at how do I feel? If we were to give us a scorecard on policies, where do you think we would have? A, let's go at hey, would you give us an A, B, C, D, or F? Like, wait, how you think we're faring?
no, I think preferring I would say that we're on a D. As a matter of fact,
D,
um,
Catlin, on
yes,
policies?
yes. Yes, yes, yes,
Wow.
yes, yes. Well,
I would
because
never want you to be my teacher. With some harsh
all
grade.
right, so all right, so let me
I
justify it.
need you to defend it. I need you to explain your stance for us.
Well, I think we kind of made the point in the last time uh, in the series that most organizations and even the regulated ones don't have the right policies in place. But most organizations, um, I don't believe that they're focused on cybersecurity, and so no, they're not going to have cybersecurity policies in place. That's why I'm saying that
So,
as far as our maturity level is concerned,
but
we're,
you are
we're down.
down. I think you're looking more at an organization level and not as a country
Oh,
level.
as a country level. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
we're
All
talking
right,
as
let's
a
do that.
country because yeah,
Okay.
what you meet in
Uh,
organizations tend to be based on I always find it on how the industry is regulated. Like you'll find financial services have more things because it's a highly regulated industry versus like hospitality. Like there it's not that it's not regulated, but from which standpoint? Because
but
of how business is done in financial services, there are a lot of things they have to do. Like, hey, AML training is mandatory. Cybersecurity policies and stuff like that are mandatory for them to do business.
some are mandatory. And even where they're mandatory, what I'm finding in dealing with financial services companies is that even they don't have um, necessarily all the policies that the uh, that the regulator, in this case, is the Central Bank of the Bahamas, requires for them. And I'm going through
What are you
with
saying that? Are you saying that there are some organizations that are not adhering and have not been found out yet?
my impression is that the central bank has allowed some of them to have maybe let's say a third of what policies, et cetera, that they are going to need to have in place in the future. And quite frankly, I'll
No,
challenge you.
Central Bank is the governor or deputy governor of Central Bank could be emailing us this week about these comments.
That's fine.
You standing 10 toes down. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just
Absolutely.
checking.
Absolutely. Um, what I found is that yeah, that's probably our only regulated environment, and that's probably the only real regulator. Now, you and I know that there are other regulations that if you're going to be doing business in the world, then some Bahamian organizations are having to abide by them, but not all. Okay, so you I'm sure if you walk into 90% of Bahamian businesses and you say, are you are you do you have a data privacy policy in place? Are you aware of the GDPR regulations? Are you aware
What?
of
GDPR is a stretch. Not every Bahamian entity
well,
does not even require, would not even fall under GDPR.
but
Some
GDPR
of
to
them
me
don't even
though,
fall under CCPA or CPRA.
I I
To
I
be
I,
fair,
I get all that. Um, all right, so then let's take that further down as we're talking about on a national level as to where we're with policy. So I'm going to say that yes, we have central bank as a strong regulator. The data protection office is supposed to be another regulator, but that's really not in place. Unless you want to
okay.
tell me that it is.
Let's look at that from a policy. One, we were a regional leader when we first came up with our data protection
And when
act
was that?
2008.
2003. You weren't even born yet. 2003.
Like that I wasn't
Yes.
even born yet. But we just updated it. We just updated it late last year. The bill was in Parliament. It hasn't been enacted yet, but we've already started the process, and it is definitely more aligned with GDPR, and it introduces fines. Real consequences. It'll be very interesting to see if it actually is enforced. Um,
Yes.
so
S-
whereas I won't say we're at an A, I mean a C, a C at
Oh,
least.
you mean country-wise?
Yes, we have the country, not at the organization. Look at it from a country.
All right. All right. So no, I took all these things into consideration this morning as I thought about this topic. And by virtue of setting up CERT BS, that was a big step.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, the most important takeaways in the Bahamas is that cybersecurity is now shifting from an IT concern to a national resilience and board governance concern.
Hmm.
I think more so from, I think, yes, from a national resilience concern. Um, there was at a conference, um, Focal brought up the fact of we needing to pay attention to places like BPL, okay? Um, and I'm going to try to find exactly what they said at this particular conference. It was a conference held at the University of Bahamas just recently, and some of the people from Focal uh, made this point about needing to secure, the infrastructure, right? What do you call it again? The critical
That's what,
infrastructure.
yeah.
Yeah. So are we making strides along those? Are we making strides along those way? Yes, I think so. I think that a lot of organizations are in fact conducting, and we'll get more to this a little bit later on, but um, but is it a requirement outside of central bank that you should have your employees you should be doing security awareness for your employees?
But like I said, it goes back central. When I talk about financial services, it's not just central bank. Central bank is the main regulator here, but a lot of those banks, number one, are not Bahamian banks. So they have their other plus banks have things like SWIFT that are international bodies, regulations that they have to adhere to. So, like I said, it's not. That's why I call it a highly regulated industry, and in more ways than one.
Yes, so that is. So no, no, give me another example of an industry that I give us points for the fact that government has recognized that, hey, this is important. As I mentioned, they're talking about the Cybersecurity Authority. They've put in place an AI ambassador. Um, we have the National Cybersecurity Plan from CERT. We know what CERT is doing. We can talk more about what CERT is doing and the relationships that it has across the Caribbean and across the world. Because I think all that goes towards in terms of, oh, hey, where are we when it comes to cybersecurity? But I'm going to be critical. Sorry.
Okay. So if we look at this from, let's look at the CMMI. That is the Capability Maturity Model Integration Framework, right?
Hmm.
Just saying that's so that we could have a standard that we could say that we're using for tonight's episode. It talks about um, the initial level being unpredictable, doesn't have
Yes.
um, there's little control over what happens. They call it unpredictable processes. Um, we call that's our F, like things that's happening ad hoc, no real rhyme or reason. A, we ain't even sure there's a vision. So I feel like we could agree that at least we're not at an F.
I agree.
So D
Totally
would be
agree.
process by project, define documentation. And I feel that we got an A, and you said we had a D.
Hmm.
Boy, you maybe got it right
Well,
now that look.
take me
Process
up
by
with
project A, define documentation. So that would be the policy is, and their processes to for these things like reporting issues and stuff like that. I think we're getting there.
well,
And
tell me about the reporting issues.
no, like if
You,
there were,
you're not required to.
that's why I said that. Okay, I think you win this. I think you may win this by Um, and then we have it would be standardization of processes and organization, I guess, in the country, and consistency in processes. They call that the defined stage, and that would be a C.
Okay. And I don't want to win it, but anyway,
Boy,
it's just where we are. S-
okay, I feel
Okay.
kind of sad now. Like, hmm.
And I
Okay,
think I think you and I
yeah,
read the same thing this morning. Yeah, and I can't find my maturity net matrix right now, but I looked at that. I looked at that as well. And that's why I landed there.
I'm like,
But again, I want to be
it's improvement.
positive.
You're striving. I could see, especially in the last 5 years, I think we've been making really good strides. Like you said, we've had the formation of CERT BS. We've had the development of the national cybersecurity policy. We're updating policies now. I don't remember off the top of my head what we did with the Computer Misuse Act. I feel like they have that under revision too. I
That's a law, but I think that law has a 19 in front of it. As to what year that came out, though.
the computer misuse came out like in the early 2000s, like 2003 to or
Okay,
2005. I feel like I need to go and, you
okay,
know,
and it,
the point is we're making progress. We're
we're making
making
some
progress.
progress.
And definitely, we can see the needle pushing. And I think with, especially now that we have this whole Ministry of Innovation, and I think that is going to make some changes. We, like you said, we have an AI ambassador. So um, I heard mention of some AI stuff in the speech from the throne. So I feel like we're going to have some AI governance and legislation, at least in draft form soon.
Um, and I'm not, and I tend to agree with you. I'm not going to be skeptical on that point because I thought that the establishment of the Ministry of Innovation and national development was important, and I thought it was a good move. I have also seen at that same UB conference, uh, I had a I had a transcript of what the Prime Minister of the talk that he gave there, and I was very impressed with what he had to say to to the country, to the students at that time. So I feel confident that we're on the right path, and that some things are going to get done. Okay, so yeah, but I do believe that we're still we're still further down, and maybe this year we'll move it up to a C.
You know, there's always that. There's always that. Um, I guess one of the questions that we always say is, I know we've been slow on the policy. Prior to the last 2 years, I think we can both agree that the policy in terms of cyber and technology has been slow. So, and we know that technology develops at a very fast pace. I mean, shoots, we have AI helping to write its own code now, so you know.
Yeah,
Um,
vibe coding.
yeah, so we
So
know it's not
can,
keeping up.
let me give you a couple of things that have happened. Um, the Bahamas has commenced a national cybersecurity risk assessment. The CERT is working with LAC4 and the EU CyberNet. They began an assessment in January of this year, covering critical information infrastructure sectors, including telecommunications, energy, emergency services, transport, health, water, waste, banking, and finance. The assessment is expected to conclude later in 2026. So that's good. CERT has gained access to the Have I Been Pawned government domain monitoring service. Just last month in May, the Bahamas became the 44th government onboarded to the service, enabling CERT to monitor government domains against exposed data breaches. Finally, CERT warns of fraudulent websites impersonating legitimate government services. The warning concerned fake traffic line payment sites designated to collect payment card and sensitive financial information through fear and urgency tactics. Oh yeah, they almost got me with that one. And I'm all the way here in Panama. I wondered how I'd sped. I was ready to go to my gateway and try to pay the fine.
No, let me ask this question.
Yes,
It was an interesting one because I looked at it. I was like, if they had sent it to the right phone,
right.
they would have had better odds. But they sent it to the wrong one of my phones.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's like ain't nobody know this number. This ain't a no national database. This isn't
Ah,
tied to my license plate or anything. Like, how y'all get this? I had to ask questions like, hmm. I was like, y'all
so-
street cameras, you know. I like what y'all may be doing, y'all. I really thought about that.
yeah, I thought, oh, okay. I know this happens in the US. I always get, you don't
I
pay
was, I
tolls
was,
anymore. They just bill
I
you,
was like,
they bill you afterwards for tolls. So I figured, okay, it's one of those deals.
okay. And speeding seemed very reasonable. That seemed like a very reasonable way to get me.
Listen, as far as I'm concerned, that airport road has no speed limit, okay? So they would definitely
Just
get me
right.
there.
Just right. So
All right.
how
Yes.
resilient do you think digital infrastructure is? Because you're talking about my gateway.
Yes.
How resilient do you think it is? I mean, do you think we could, from a government standpoint, do you think we can survive a major cyber attack, a major out if it happened in intergovernmental?
Probably only
I mean,
because,
people would even feel the difference. Like, let's say the police system was down and no one could get their reports. They can't get their travel documents. They can't do stuff like that. Or the registrar general. Or we just be like, see, y'all never do, yeah, you'll never have no efficiency anyway. I should say it like this. Even a better question is if a government ministry, you know what, let me not say that because someone, the wrong person might listen and get ideas. Let's not ask that question. Let's not ask that question.
no, you're
Um,
asking if they're backup systems, but I guess the first and foremost thing is that it it seems like it still feels, even though I love my gateway and I think it's a step in the right direction, and I think I saw some of the Prime Minister talking about that being upgraded even further, that it's going further. I love my gateway, um, but it's still partly computerized, partly manual, is my experience.
it is. And then I think my issue with it is it lacks a bit of cohesiveness. Like you'd see a way to get to the passport office there. But
Yes.
the last time I did it, it wasn't the right way. You still had to go on the passport office actual website to actually get things done. So it's kind of like a bit disjointed. But you know what I would like to happen, especially
Hmm.
since we have my gateway, and I think my gateway is a good way, a good starting point for it. One central repository, like stop asking me for all my documents. Like y'all ain't got this.
Yeah. Um,
Especially road traffic. I would really like if I could upload my insurance papers so y'all would be asking me for that.
yes. Well, so we have made we have to say we have made a lot of progress, but it's obvious that we still have a long way to go. Um, now we have the same political party for 2 terms in a row, and I'm hoping that that's a positive. I'm hoping that uh, some of the initiatives that they've started now don't have to be abandoned or slowed, that they can continue. So I'm hoping for the best. You mentioned again, you say how resilient, and going back to what the top executives of Focal said at the University of Bahamas Legal Week seminar, they sent an urgent warning regarding vulnerabilities in the Bahamian electrical grid. As power systems and smart grids become increasingly digitized, leaders are pushing for new energy laws to tie national grid resilience directly to data governance. Um, well, there's a lot in that that probably need to be teased out, and I'm not prepared to do it because I don't have anything further on it except for that's what was said. You think we can call our good friend Dale? Is he still at BPL and ask him? I don't mean to throw Dale in the bus. Dale, how you doing if you ever see this? We're still friends.
Oliver, it was like if somebody who they call, I could call a taxi friend.
Yes, we
That
call a
who wants to
friend.
be a millionaire, and you had that lifeline.
Yeah, that's a lifeline. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, so back to the whole thing as to where we're at, and well, I mean, so and we have some specifics to get into later on, but because of the relationships, I think, as you know, even in the setup of CERT, it the Bahamas reached out to places like the International Development Bank, the International American Development Bank, um, the ITU. They got, there are some European partners involved as well. So it isn't like you're having to reinvent the wheel. And and obviously, and as a country, we didn't. And so, um, and I hope also that the fact that you and I know about the CERT, that there are more people who also know about the CERT, and but perhaps something about what it's trying to do.
I think the sort has done a very good job at getting out there. They have events, they have meet and greets. I think they've done a lot to get their message out there.
Hmm.
Um, they got social media. I mean, I think they just had an online webinar the other day. Something to do with online. Is it?
For the children protection, I think.
Yes, yes. I
Yeah, for
think
the
that
protection of
was
children.
about a week or two ago. Fairly recently. So like they have things, especially within the technology community here, and critical infrastructure partners. So yeah.
Yeah, so if I came off as being very negative and down and everything, no, there are some good things going on.
I
Uh,
think I think you just look at it from the hopeful aspect. Could there you'd be like, I would give him a C, without actually giving, having a straight across because I could see how we're trying to improve. But when you go and you look at it from a metrics driven point, not from a how I feel it should be point, it tells a different story. So you've been fair.
us,
Um,
okay, go
and how
ahead.
do you think we compare regionally? Because especially policy wise, the Bahamas has always been kind of a forerunner on technology policies, infrastructure. Um,
As far as I know, Sega, and I was surprised by this that, you know, do you know if Barbados has a cert? Because I haven't seen
yeah,
much about it.
Barbados. I did a forensic. I can't even remember what they called, but yes, I actually was in the cert in Barbados just recently. I think in
Okay.
March. I did a digital forensics class over there.
Oh, fantastic.
So I was in a room with several other certs, the cert from Trinity, as well as Grenada, CARICOM Impact.
I know Jamaica also has a strong cert.
Yeah. So yes, we're doing things globally. I mean regionally, sorry.
Right, and I saw something about the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States um, were putting something together. They're developing a roadmap through the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project. This is Grenada, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and Grenadines.
I was about to
So,
ask you who in the east, like you taking me to geography now. And I feel like I gotta go pull up a map for the Caribbean.
yeah, it's more, I don't even know if you pick it up that way. It's more of Oh, here. So OAS conducts a sub-regional workshop on cyber resilience through coordination held in Antigua and Barbuda earlier this year, March. It involved Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Grenada, Guyana, Suriname, St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Trinidad and Tobago. So there are things happening. And again, it goes back to the point that cybersecurity has moved from being an IT matter to being a business matter. And
The slogan finally worked. We've been telling people for as cybersecurity is everybody's business.
exactly, exactly. It's a business imperative. It's not an IT imperative. And you can't just simply shove it under the desk. So how do we measure up globally?
No, let's start with regionally, specifically
Regionally, yeah, regionally. I
Caribbean.
think, yeah, no, I don't necessarily think that we are the leader, but I think we are one of the leaders. And I think that socially, uh, we Bahamians, am I going to
The
say,
audacity to tell us that we ain't at the top.
see, that's part of the problem right there. Okay, so we Bahamians like to think that we're special and we're separate and we want to, but this is an area where uh, coming together makes more sense. You don't want to be out there um, all alone because again, why reinvent the wheel? That's expensive. You don't necessarily have the resources to, in fact, to go do that. If someone else is doing it and they're doing it well, let's see what they're doing and adapt to it. So I think we're one of the leaders, but I don't necessarily think that we are the leader. And I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So I will say that I think we have been a little slow to the table.
Mhm.
Like by the time we had our start, other Caribbean countries already had theirs. Were already so we had to play catch up. So we started off with I think one of the first data protection laws
Legislation. All right.
legislation, and then we dropped the ball when it came to reviewing and keeping it updated. Um, what would be nice to see on a regional standpoint? The talent sharing. Cybersecurity technology on a whole, seems to be a little, especially for the more nuanced fields like cybersecurity and engineering and software development. And yeah, a lot of people say, oh, they're not such big a deal now because everything is AI. AI. The fact is, there's still room. There's still a hand in hand approach there. And it would be good, especially when smaller organizations, especially within the region, have to rely heavily on MSPs. But it would be good if we could kind of go cross the aisle and be like, hey, and realize that, hey, we all developed the pool that we all could use from instead of having to jump to countries like the US.
No, and it's a good point. And I think I may have mentioned this last time. There's a because I was on a webinar with the Canto folks, which is it's a Caribbean organization in this space,
I feel
and
like I need to make you tell people what Canto is, just because, last episode you were all about making me talk out acronyms.
uh-huh. Well, I'll have to go and look it up, but it is a Caribbean it is a Caribbean Latin American organization, and so we do belong to it. Let's see, information technology, but they were discussing data sovereignty, and that becomes that I think I mentioned it before, but that's going to become uh, it is, and it's going to become a huge thing. And again, you worked for the central bank in one of your past lives, so you remember when we used to have what is known as Banking Secrecy Act, and
Oh, I even call me out when I have to say no.
you remember that?
No, because I work in a field that the guards, highly prizes confidentiality.
Well, banking
When you
secrecy,
say that, I
banking
feel
secrecy
like this anymore. I'm like, what? It's like something like,
before 2000 and before uh, the world intruded on us saying that and beat us across the head about our financial services and said, no, 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 no. You need to start telling us which of our rich citizens
oh,
are
when
keeping
you,
money
when
in your country.
they started applying pressure for transparency and saying that so people could no longer hide their money in the Bahamas
Right, right, right. And it's almost killed
financially.
our finan yeah, that's exactly right. So,
It did take major hits though.
hmm?
I say we did take major hits there. If I remember, quite a few companies pulled out.
Yeah, and it's still happening. And I read something as I said, I'm here in Panama, and I read something about Panama recently that Panama just passed a law uh, similar to what we had to do. But Panama was more resilient in being able to resist the efforts of the Organization of, what is it? Organization of Economic and something OECD countries, the 27 rich countries that kind of put all these rules out there to say, how, like the know your customer rule and having to put in place
Yeah.
money laundering. Yeah, all those things, right? So those things were where we had to quickly put in legislation to make these things happen. And you and I know that um, that as you know how difficult it is to open a bank account, but I found that it was difficult. It was difficult. It took me a couple of weeks to open a bank account here in Panama. It's like
Get
they,
the
they
right background check.
they take all the information and then it still takes like 3 weeks before they get back to you and says, yeah, okay, you know, we opened the bank account for you. So or not, yeah, now you can open it. But in the Bahamas, you find it difficult that or I find it difficult in that you're having to so here's the conundrum, Sega. You're having to provide your private information, all of your PII to these institutions multiple times. And now we think over now to the data protection. What are they doing to protect the data that you've in fact given them? And that you're having to give them on multiple occasions. And they don't even give you a secure way to get the data to them. They just says email it.
Hold on. I'm just going back and I remember a few years back. Um, I'm trying to remember if this was still during the COVID. I think it was during the COVID era. When you had I think when they first implemented the whole drive-through thing, at the sports center, I needed to get my driver's license updated, and they asked me to put my signature on a piece of paper for them to go inside and scan. And I was like, there's so much problems in there. One,
Yes.
I don't know what y'all doing with my signature. I don't know who all have access to my signature. I don't know, especially when you have a fraudulent marriage. I keep saying I go into the registrar to make sure I'm not married. Because I feel like I'm owed some stuff. I'm
Yeah.
if I have a few things he could pay for, just saying.
Yeah, if that's the case. Like,
Who that he's been delinquent and taken care of.
so Canto, it's the Caribbean Association of National Telecommunication Organizations. And it's the premier information and communication technology, ICT, that's what they call it in government, ICT, trade association. So,
And now you gotta tell us what ICT is.
yeah, it's information communication technology.
Okay.
Government uses that. Um, it started
Hey,
out,
it's an
it,
ICT day.
it's now expanded to 110 member organizations over 30 countries.
Um,
Okay, Canto. So, um, very, it's a very, very important organization. Okay.
You talked about cybersecurity awareness training. How do you think we do overall with that? Do you think we have a strong cybersecurity culture, a weak one, or we just somewhere in the middle?
Um, One of the frustrating things I think in thinking about or in trying to level set the topics that we had for tonight is that a lot of the information we don't know, for instance, Sega, how many cyber events we've had happen, adverse cyber events for companies we've had happen because for reputational purposes, companies don't tend to talk about it.
And like you said,
Uh,
it's not mandated at this time.
right? And it's not mandatory that you know, that you have to report it. So it's difficult. It's difficult to know. We know but we know that what's dangerous right now though is that um, because AI has been weaponized to to do an even better job than somebody doing it manually as far as phishing is concerned. Security awareness is you have to do it and do it and do it and do it and keep doing it. Um, because again, even even though I'm supposed to be somebody who always thinking about this stuff, and I think I am always thinking about it, but you get so many things and 90% of them you're looking at side-eyed. But sometimes something can slip through. And so in terms of saying exactly where we're at, I don't know. I know that for the people closest to me, I am always preaching and warning and and saying to be careful. I
Do
just
you
had a
sound
sip,
like a
huh?
person? Are you saying that you sound a lot like a Domesday person?
I think I always I think in a sense I kind of come across that way. I just think that well, I just think that I think that we still have to push that and we still have to security awareness security awareness uh has to be something that just you have to keep on and keep on and keep on doing it um because you can you can easily fall for it. The saying nowadays is that the hackers are not breaking in, they are logging in. And Sega, why are they logging in? Because they're stealing somebody's credentials.
Well, they always used to say it's not a matter of if you're going to get hacked. It's either you have been hacked, you are being hacked, or you're about to get hacked. Oh, and AI is going to make that a lot easier.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, that means like you said, awareness. But let me channel my inner end user. I ain't got time for that. I ain't got time for that. Y'all hire me to do a work, and I came in here and I'm trying to get my work done, and y'all want me to do this stupid training. You know how long this training is, and it's boring. Just understand.
Yeah, and it's so
Y'all always trying to catch somebody. Why y'all always trying to catch somebody?
yeah, that's what they say.
Now I can't
Uh,
even I can't even look at links no more. Like, because obviously anytime someone send me a link on attachment, so when my boss asks me why I never do that thing she asked me to do, it's because it was an attachment, and I know she was just trying to test me. She was just trying to test me to see if I'd
yeah,
pay attention to that training. But I
and that's
smart.
the and that's the conundrum, isn't it? That's the conundrum that we still have to continue to train and train and train, but there are no guarantees. There's
But
no guarantees.
overall, let's remember that we're looking at it from a country perspective and not a one-way organization. I mean, we have a not to bring up my good friends over at CBS again. We have several people, companies that send out tips all the time. CBS does it. My good friend Gamal Nuri over at Preventative Measures do it. I've been falling off recently, but GSC also sends out at least post tips, so you see them all the time. Do you think that we're actually getting it though?
Again, it's difficult to it's
Okay,
difficult to
without saying real stats on how much breaches we're having, it's kind of hard to tell. Okay.
yeah, it's difficult, right? To it's difficult. But we have no way of being able to measure it. I Cisco had a major breach in the past few days. I don't know if you heard of that. And my mind immediately went to someplace and said, I'm sure my friends caught this. I'm sure they know about this and they've already patched it. Um, and that is one of and that is one of the danger nowadays too, is that the time to patch, so you remember there's the whole process and how you patch, right? Okay, so the patch comes out, you have to test it before you then go ahead and patch it. And the problem now is that with the weaponization of AI by the bad guys, the minute that someone knows that there's a vulnerability, people are out there looking to exploit it as quickly as possible.
Well, of course. I mean, we all have jobs. A ours is to try to keep you safe, and somebody else is to try to exploit. You know, some people have better tools. Some of us contend with legacy systems, and some of them can't get
Yes. Oh, but that too is a term that um,
servers that are end of life and still in the environment because you
can't
know
afford not to have
yeah,
it
we
to have
have
it in
we have to
place.
sit down and think, and the mindset sometimes is that ain't nobody can knock us. Like, what they can get.
Yeah, it's what is it? Steal the credentials now and decrypt them later.
Snatch and grab, I think is
Hmm.
what they're calling it now.
Yeah,
Snatch and grab.
yeah, steal them now. Yeah, they'll decrypt them later. The road ahead, Sega.
Well, like you
What do
said,
we
the
need to
road
do?
for us here in the Bahamas and our sunny Bahama line is looking pretty bright. Um, I am really looking forward for the next, just to see where we are over the next year. Um, like I said, between the new Ministry of Innovation, um, the National Cybersecurity Authority, which I think is going to go a long way in implementing the National Cybersecurity Strategy. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some work there with CertBS. Then we have, like you said, the not the data protection, the updated data protection bill that I'm hopeful that will be enacted um, over the next few months. And with the AI ambassador,
Hmm.
um, who I'm hoping we can get on the show in a few months or some in a few weeks, um, it'll be interesting to see how AI governance looks. Um, there's talk about every country wants their own AI, and I know I feel about that because I understand how labor intensive it is, and sometimes people say the word like they want their own AI, but like, do you want your own AI like Chat GPT, or you just want an AI platform? Because they're two different things, users, um, and things like ChatGPT and Claude, like the amount of resources they take to power, I'm like, I don't think everybody should be getting that one. I understand why you would want it, but I don't think everybody should get it. Like, I like to live and not die. I like the beautiful ocean out there. Sammy, it was like I kind of want to hold on to some things. So
So you don't want a data center being built any place here in the
it
Bahamas
isn't so
anytime
much about the
soon.
data center, but it's what have you ever seen how much it takes to power AI?
I That's what I'm talking about. There was a story just this week that there was a 60 Minutes piece 3 weeks ago about some residents uh, protesting and doing what they can to prevent a data center from being built in their neighborhood. Because what's also been happening, I think, oh, this is a story that I recently heard. I can't tell you where it was from, but that the power company was telling the residents, "Oh, we're not going to be able to provide you guys the power anymore because it's going to have to go to the data center. Data center can pay more for it." Did you imagine?
Who?
Yeah. I don't know. Have you seen some of these data centers? And also, Elon Musk is talking about now putting data centers in satellites. So I think we're headed for a very interesting place. So as
My
far
thing
as
is, if you think I have nothing against it, but we haven't quite mastered the whole power grid situation yet.
you mean this, in our country,
Yes. So my concern would be, I mean, I know there's alternative energy there, but if you it's kind of hard for me to feel comfortable with that when you don't seem to have me as a residential customer. I mean, I know someone who was just without power for must be more than 12 hours just this week.
wow,
People were had went through power cuts on Sunday. Um and we ain't in the height of it, we ain't reached summer yet. So
no,
and we
no.
and we know there are certain months in the year you'd be like, the sky look great, power goes off. The sky look blue, it goes off. And it sounded like there was thunder in the distance and boom, power is off. So
Yeah, I'd like to have a national cybersecurity, a national security just on the provision of power.
so
That's something to be done
okay,
there.
well, we have our AI discussion. We could take a better look into that. Um,
Well, between you and me, the AI ambassador reached out to me to connect on LinkedIn. So we connected this morning on
I spoke
LinkedIn.
with him already.
You did? Okay, fantastic. Oh,
He was very interested, so we're just waiting for schedules to align there.
all right.
So
All
yeah.
right. I think we need to wrap up. So the state of
Mhm.
cyber policy, we've made some headway. There's a lot going on. Um, so we're not at a
Right.
D, we're probably at a C.
You already
Uh,
told us we already agreed we was at the D.
oh,
Now
we are at
I,
D.
I said I
Okay.
wanted to be at a C, but realistically be looking at like a D.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think in 20 months we might
if
hit that.
if we can get that data protection one out there, and that'll go a long way. The technical infrastructure and resilience. You know too that I think everybody knows too that we rely on underwater cables. Um, Underwater cables are becoming a big thing now in terms of their vulnerability. Perhaps not so much for us, but for other countries. Um, we don't have any submarines to protect us. So, but that's a big thing. When we talk about infrastructure, but our first thing with infrastructure, it's about making certain that our water um, is not going to be disrupted by some cyber event, and our power grid is not going to be disrupted by some power grid by some cyber event.
It sounds like we need another episode just on resilience. I got you. I got you.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
because we're not the Iranians yet. We talked about that last week.
We got, we got,
Uh,
oh man.
how
I
we
didn't
measure up
I didn't
globally and regionally.
get to go these bars through the US, I keep telling you this.
How do we measure up regionally and globally? We are one of I still think we're one of the leaders regionally, and we're taking the right steps to get there. Uh, because one of the other draws for the country is in drawing companies to come and set up here, what we call the foreign direct investment. And one has to have not only the people in terms of the people with the knowledge, skills to hire, but the infrastructure has to be there. And so it's important for that. People skills and awareness. there's a lot of security awareness going on out there, and that needs to continue. For me, Sega, the road ahead is that I want to have that feeling that we have more of a culture of cybersecurity in the country. And I just don't get the feeling that, particularly when it comes to smaller businesses and a lot of medium-sized businesses, that they're just not there in their thinking around the need for good cybersecurity hygiene.
Okay,
With,
that's
with any final thoughts from you?
um like I said, I think that we're taking lots of great strides in the right direction, which is why I say the future is looking sunny for me. Um, I think one of the things that needs to happen is cybersecurity. I, when I was in primary school, computers weren't a thing yet. I remember the computer labs being in school became a thing after, a few years later, and now we have schools that are completely digitized. Like, I work a lot with ISBAC. I actually do a cybersecurity class there ever so often. And so I can tell you, we do have the main, some institutions are modernized like that. And when you so the mindset is thinking we're seeing the transformation of how, and especially COVID. I think we remember Bodine came to our Rotary Club and talked about, some of the ways um, material is being presented digitally to students. And so I think a lot of the real culture shift is not may not happen so much in our generation, but with the generation that's coming up. When we start and we bring it in from foundational level, we always talk that, cybersecurity is always an afterthought. A lot of things aren't built with cyber being a focus. We normally think about application and then you think about um, the security aspects of it. And so we now have the opportunity to start from the younger age and start to teach them. Like when I talk to my nephew, you tell them about um, stranger dangers online and things that they shouldn't do. Like I had to teach my nephew that, hey, I don't share passwords and this is why you shouldn't share yours. But that's going to help shift the mindset over time. So, like I said, I expect just the way how we are advancing, how we're getting better, that the only way is up from here.
Only about prepared. And I'm going to take a minute, Sega, if I might. This has to do with the cybersecurity model for cybersecurity capacity model, maturity model for nations, CMM. Um, and just give you a couple of things here. In terms of national leadership and institutions, the assessment for the parameters that we are advancing. What that means, national strategy and national incident response capability now exists. The availability of cybersecurity people, it's limited but expanding, they found. The capability with practitioners exists, but specialist depth appears constrained relative to demand. Skills pipeline is developing. Training pathways exist. Advanced specialization and research capability remain development needs. Public awareness, it's improving. Campaigns and advisory exists. Awareness is not yet uniformly institutionalized. This is what they came back with when they're doing their uh, this is as of May of last year. Executive and board awareness is increasing, but it's uneven.
Yeah.
This,
But again, like I said, a lot of these things that are going to be highlighted are things that I think are addressed in the national cybersecurity strategy. Because if we remember correctly, I think it actually talks about organizations being required to have a cybersecurity leader
yeah,
as a part. And it's not fully enacted, but that is the plan. So there is
that's
a
the plan.
strategy to get
Yeah,
there.
I
And I
just
think once
I've
they go
uh-huh.
forward, actually having that authority in place, we're gonna see how that pushes the needle.
And finally, to secure digital transformation capacity, the assessment was that we're progressing with capacity risk. Digital services can expand faster than the workforce and the controls needed to protect them. So I think we're in a good place from the standpoint that the powers that be recognize and are putting in um, the institutions that need to be there. Again, I think the innovation ministry, innovation and national development ministry is good. And you had pointed that out as well, and that's going to take us also help take us forward. So good stuff, Sega.
All right. So I guess we could wrap it. We could say this is a wrap. So I think we're all in agreement here that hey, we aren't there yet, but we are moving towards wherever there is, which is just not here.
It is, no, it is. I would just love to hear more um, discussion. Um, I want it to be more cultural. I want cybersecurity to be more cultural. That it's not just when I'm talking to persons in the field that we talk cybersecurity. I don't know. I just want to hear it more often.
Okay, okay. Like I say, like 12 months from now, let's say, what was the second? Are we there yet too?
Are we there? Are we there yet? We're getting there. We have a plan.
Yeah.
So that's great. I'm really happy about that. I'm positive. I'm positive about that.
All right.
And there's a lot of room, folks, and I'm certainly trying to also to encourage young people who are interested to get into this part of the business, cybersecurity, and latch on because there's a lot to do and a lot of opportunities.
All right.
Yeah.
And with that, we conclude tonight's episode. Okay. Same time,
Yes.
same place. On what's that? June 16th.
June 16th. See you then. Have a
All
good night,
right.
everybody.
Good night.